Hello. So today I'm carrying on my list of top 10 favourite films of all time. And on to my ninth favourite film, which is probably going to be a bit more divisive than Spider-Man 2. It's William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet from 1996, directed by Baz Luhrmann and starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes as the title characters. I first watched this movie in high school. It was in the school library because my drama class was studying the play because the school was doing a production of Romeo and Juliet. I wasn't actually in the play itself, but I did help a little bit with making some of the props. Though I did eventually get to perform Shakespeare when I got to university and I joined a drama club there and I ended up playing Alonso in The Tempest. But in high school I ended up watching this film as research and I thought it was really fantastic. So the obvious thing that sets this film apart is that it takes all the original Shakespearean Old English and then places it in this more modern setting. Presumably it's this alternate universe where people who live in modern California talk this way. I know there's some people who don't like that about this film. They feel it doesn't really work, but I personally think it works really well. I mean, the way the actors deliver the lines, it feels natural. It feels like how it should. And even if you don't always understand what the words mean, then the tone gets the gist and the meaning across pretty well. Ultimately, it still tells the story in a way that works and gets the right kind of intensity behind it, like when Benvolio is saying, "And if we meet, we shall not escape a brawl, for now these hot days is the mad blood stirring." And they're even able to do things with the dialogue that make it fit the setting a bit better without actually changing it. I mean, like somebody calls for Romeo and they go, "Romeo!" Baz Luhrmann has this quite typical style, the same thing you see in Moulin Rouge with this fast editing and these kind of rapid camera movements. And that works quite well here because it helps to create a real sense of chaos when appropriate. It captures that very well in the more intense scenes. And the music is really good too. There's a lot of choir music and a little bit of dramatic techno here and there. There's a lot of things I like about the design of the whole thing besides the dialogue. I mean, the fact they put it in this modern setting gives it some more freedom to play around, and I like some of the choices that they make to transplant the story into this setting, like having Montague and Capulet be these rival businesses and then giving the names like Sword and Dagger to the guns that people use. I like how run down and rough the city of Verona looks with sand everywhere, and I like how there's kind of this distinction in style between the Montagues and the Capulets, where the Montagues are these wild boys with these colourful shirts and bare chests, and the Capulets are a bit more slick with this kind of Italian style. And then the actors portray the characters really well too. They feel like how they should. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio's Romeo is a bit of an emo. He broods quite a bit, but he's passionate and he has a lighter side, likes to have fun with his mates. Claire Danes as Juliet comes as quite bright, intelligent girl, but still quite young and wide-eyed. Harold Perrineau as Mercutio is really good. I like his introduction as he drives up to the other boys in his car with Young Hearts Run Free playing, and the fact that he's going to this costume party dressed in drag. He does the whole wild and chaotic thing very well, and he even gives his performance as he's been wounded and he's dying like, "I, a scratch." John Leguizamo as Tybalt, he's referred to as the Prince of Cats, and he has this quite predatory characterisation. He's this real agility to his movements. It's quite good in the scene where he wants to duel Romeo, and Romeo's trying to make peace with him, and you can just see the confusion in Tybalt's face before he finally just takes the easy option and just goes back to his hatred. And then Pete Postlethwaite as the friar is really good as well. I do like some of the little details that they throw in, like when Romeo goes to see the friar, he remembers to cross himself in the church, and then when he starts running away he falls over so the friar can say to him, "Wisely and slow." The actual romance between Romeo and Juliet is very good. I like how the two of them engage with each other. And the film even manages to amplify the tragedy of the ending as well. I mean, first off, the letter that the friar sends to Romeo telling him about the whole plan, it gets delivered to Romeo's door and he just doesn't notice it. He just walks over it at one point. And then later on in Juliet's tomb, it's not enough for Romeo to just drink the poison and die just before Juliet wakes up. Juliet actually starts waking up just as he's giving his final speech to give you that little bit of hope. And then he doesn't notice and he drinks the poison just as her hand touches his face and he sees that she's alive, just to make it even more heartbreaking than it already was. So those are the things I love about William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, and please let me know how you feel about this film in the comments, whether you like it or you don't like it. And thanks for watching.